Republicans will let another liberal in. This Harris kind of funny, but he knows where he's been. Said that little Marco ain't my friend.
Again, my name is Robert Walker. I'm the state director for BLEXIT, and today at Top Gun, we are doing a membership drive, and it's going to last from 2 to 6 today. And then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week, we're going to continue with the membership drive. We're looking for you to come in. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Arab, Muslim, we want you to come in and become a part of this movement so that we can continue to keep this great country the way it is.
All right.
So I'm looking to see you, and so you can sign up and be a part of the BLEXIT.
Got $1 billion in his own stakes too. Ain't too many things old Trump can't do. He looks out for people working 9 to 5, and a Trump boy can't survive.
This is one of my, he's a member of our executive team, Eric. He's an advisor. He's a gentleman from Algeciras, is that how you pronounce it? And this is Wilbert here. He's the director for what's our outreach and partnership. It's another gentleman from our organization. So between the three of us, we're gonna get those answers right. Okay, we're ready. Tell you guys, you ready? Let's understand that it comes from 2 words.
Oh, yeah.
The word is Black Exit. So it's the mission of where the Black community is exiting from the democratic policies that has created poverty, has created poor urban schools, and it's created fatherless homes. And so this organization is about promoting a different mission that's going to promote economic prosperity for the Black community. That's what this organization is all about. That's why we're here today at Top Gun, to promote that message. That way it's a message of entrepreneurship, it's a message of promoting criminal justice, champion financial literacy, and various programs that really teaches the true history of what this country is all about and the greatness of this country. That's what BLEXIT is all about.
I'll do that. How do you evaluate the response?
Well, we have to look at the African American community. The Black community has to look at the Black community has to look at policies, not about personalities, but policies, and what policies will promote prosperity for the community. So when you look at policies, they have to be policies that promote entrepreneurship, have to be policies that promote home ownership, and they have to be policies that promote business ownership. I've studied economics for many years now, and one of the things that you understand is in the study of economics, you understand that the backbone of America is business ownership, it's entrepreneurship. So anytime you hear about this, we have to close the wealth gap. Well, how do you close the wealth gap? You close the wealth gap by creating policies, by implementing policies that will bring forth entrepreneurship. And that's what this organization is all about. That's why we're here, to promote that message, and we're going to have some great success with it.
Can I ask your opinion, personal opinion, why you choose to support President Trump?
Well, personally, and again, I speak as an individual, so so I'm not speaking on behalf of BLEXIT, individually, personally. Again, let's look at the economic policies of this president. Let's look at the platinum plan. I mean, I've had people ask me for years, do you believe in reparation? Well, I have no problem with reparation, because, what I do have a problem with is if we're going to promote reparation, let's promote programs that will teach individuals how to create and manage wealth. And so the platinum plan that the president is talking about is going to do that. It's going to educate the black community with financial literacy. It's going to promote entrepreneurship. And so why wouldn't we, as black Americans, support something like that? To me, that is the epitome of, or that is the essence of what reparations is all about. Gentlemen?
So we are here in Guns Tour. So there are, like, right now, there are many African Americans buying guns and firearms than ever. Why?
Because there's a lot of African Americans out there that believes in the Second Amendment. That's why. They believe in the Second Amendment. And this country was built on it. And so how dare anyone promote a policy that's going to take away gun ownership. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
I believe in, my team believes in gun ownership. So this is the perfect place to promote such a message. Thank you.
Trump boy can't survive.
Or we're going to have even a greater level of effectiveness when we can come together, black men, white man, Arab man, Hispanic man, come together and promote a movement. Now, yes, the name says BLEXIT or BLEXIT, but we have to come together as Americans to promote this message, because when the African American community or any community prospers, the economic model says that we all prosper. So that's what this is about. So anyone can join BLEXIT. Because again, it's promoting that mission, that movement. The founding director, we had a big event in South Carolina.
Okay.
It was interesting.
And then out of this meeting, someone got fired up and inspired.
Somebody, so the first director, moved to the side, and I became the director. 16th of September. And since then, we just been moving.
On the floor running.
We meeting folks everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, again, within 5 days. I mean, I know it was within a week. I met this gentleman. Oh my God.
I know we've talked before, but
we was trying to put. I mean, because we want Candace Miller to come in.
Absolutely.
Candace Owens to come into the state. And she's real close. She's real close to coming into Michigan.
Okay.
But this is why this is so important, because she looks at the numbers. She looks at each chapter and the members of the chapter, and that's what it's about. Okay. So we were real close. I mean, we had the city of Taylor. They was behind us. We had 3 big churches that was behind us. So we're going to get Candace Owens.
She's going to come.
In the state.
Just a question of when.
Just when, because we would have gotten her in October. But one, they was doing this big Back to Blue event in DC, one, and then 2, she's pregnant.
Oh, I didn't know
and so yeah, she's pregnant now, and so all of that kind of, twisted some things up. But we're going to get her, and this young man right here, and I can say young man now, he's going to be a big part of it. Oh, big part of it, right, sir?
Absolutely.
See, told you.
We do what we can because.
Now, who's these individuals right here?
We're just following and watching and that.
Yeah, we're going to get her. And then when we get Candace Owens, then of course, Brandy comes in, Pierre comes in, Larry Elders comes in. I mean, the whole team comes in. And because that's how it was in South Carolina, about 3 months ago.
Okay.
So we're going to get her. And again, this man,
make it happen.
this man right here, we're going, you know, we're
find a way to
together
make it
now.
happen.
We're joined at the
She's a
hip.
dynamo, man, and she doesn't pull any punches.
No, she doesn't pull any punches, and
Makes a few people upset, but all the way she
well,
marches.
it's interesting because the people that get upset the most are men.
I don't get upset.
I don't get upset either. The Blue Rally in DC a couple weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
You have to understand, my ex-wife, my son, my daughter, they follow the direction of their mom, so they're lean towards the liberal side. Well,
you know, go.
my son, 1 week before we left to go to DC, he decided to come with his dad.
Okay.
My daughter said no way, because she's Black Lives Matter. So my son now is in DC with his pops. All these events, this event is going on.
Right.
He comes back. We get back to Michigan. My daughter picks us up at the airport. My daughter said something, and my son looks at his sister and says, Janae, all the things they're saying about BLEXIT and Donald Trump, they're all lies. Okay. My son said this. So I already know. My son said this.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? That was that's from my loins.
Right.
So I know
Right.
then
Right.
2 weeks from now,
Right.
I know how he's gonna vote.
Did you have to wipe a tear?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a proud dad. That's what I'm trying to pat my chest. I'm a proud pop.
Further ado, a young man named Robert Walker is going to talk just a little bit about what we're here for today. And thank you everybody for coming here. Thank you Top Gun for having everybody here with this very, very important election that we're into right now and moving forward. Keeping America what it is, what we know and what we love. That's what we're all here for today. So Robert, we'll turn this over to you. And thank you very much, sir.
All right, hold on, before I need you two gentlemen, come on, because they put it together. They put this together. They put this together for me.
Oh, okay.
They approached me.
Every little one thing, every one of us do that.
You know this gentleman right here?
Don't know him.
You know?
They're better for her life.
Aren't you the president of this organization?
Yes, I am.
So you know Mike, right? You know Randy, right? You know him? These are the gentlemen from Top Gun. They are the gentlemen from Top Gun. So I'm not taking any credit for putting this event together.
Yeah.
It's these two men. We saw them at an event. I saw your business partner at an event a couple weeks ago. I approached him through, where's Doug at?
Right here.
There's Doug. Doug introduced me to this gentleman a couple weeks ago at the John James event. He reached out to me, I reached out to him. He put me in contact with these two gentlemen, and now we have this great event here. So to these great men from Top Gun, you know, I'm gonna say this, I love you now. Can I say that?
It's okay to say.
I love you. You know, people get funny, so you know.
No. Very good.
So I thank you both again because you guys did this. We sit right here in this room, and you guys, you already had the plan mapped out. So I'm just tagging along. But thank you both.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I have to introduce this young man too. Doug, can you come up here, man? I became the state director for BLEXIT on the 16th of September. And when I became the director, I don't know, there was a lot of phone calls made, and all of a sudden, bam, I'm meeting this guy here. Because I tell people all the time, what is my ultimate goal? My ultimate goal is to bring Candace Owens and the whole organization to the state of Michigan. Absolutely. Because there are a lot of black, white, Arabs, Latinos, there are a lot of Republicans out there, conservatives out there, but they are scared. They're scared to, you know, make themselves known. Is that right, sir?
That's absolutely correct.
And somehow I met this man here, and we just tagged up together, and not if, but when Candace Owens and the whole organization comes together, it comes into Michigan, this man here and the two gentlemen from Top Gun, they're going to be a major, major part of that.
And my name is Doug Reimel. I am the 12th Congressional District Republican Committee Chairman. Okay.
Is this going to be before the election, Doug?
We don't know that. But Before this election, no, it won't happen. But the whole point is, we're trying to bring conservatives together, and the cause knows no color. Okay? It knows no color, because we want several things. We want freedom, right? We want to chase our own dreams. We want to make our own way, and we want the government out of our way to do that. And these are simple platforms. That's why we're here, and we're all in the same boat. We want what we want. We want our country to stay a republic, not a socialist. So that's why we're all here. We know no color. Let's come together and work together and make it happen. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, so again, I'm state director, and this event is a membership drive that's taking place today and then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week. So we will be here those 4 days. Why? Again, you know, I'm a black man. I love this country. I just do. I've been a Republican now, or conservative, since 1981. I was 18 years old, and I was a freshman at the Ohio State University. Back in them days, I kept very, very quiet. And I kept quiet for, again, for what, 30 years. I'll go into the booth, vote for, you know, the party, and this is, when they asked me to become the director, I said absolutely, because there's been something I've been waiting on for, again, 30 years, and that was a platform where I could stand up and say, you know what, I'm a black conservative. Because again, I was raised in a small town in Ohio. I went to a liberal college, and back in those days, you better not say anything. My mother, my brothers, my sisters, my cousins, they were all liberals, and they've been so since I've known them. And so my mom says to me, don't be a part of this organization, but I'm grown now, so I respect her, I love her, but I just don't listen to her anymore. That's just the way it is. This is about a drive to bring conservatives together. And yes, the name is BLEXIT, which means the two words together is black exit, and it's exit from the policies that is created within the African American community. A lot of poverty, which we have 76% of all homes in the urban community are ran by single black women. Prior to 2018, I was working on my PhD degree, and I was going to model myself or do my dissertation on the subject of poverty. And I was following the model of, you know, the economist, Dr. Thomas Sowell. I've read all his books. I've read them now for many, many years. And I've read them multiple times. This movement is not just a black movement, it's an American movement. Yeah. And like you had back in the civil rights time, it just wasn't, Dr. King's days, it wasn't just black people marching, it was black people and white people, we were marching together. And so I don't want you to think that BLEXIT is just some black organization. It's for all of us. Let's come together, let's join forces, and let's change this country, or let's prevent this country from being changed. Because I'm the father of a 21-year-old son, I'm the father of an 18-year-old daughter, and I'm convinced that if the Democrats get back in office, they're going to change this country forever. Again, I've studied all kinds of economics. I've studied economics for 40 years. I've studied economic policies for 40 years of my life. And poverty, people don't understand, poverty is hidden in policies. You want to see poverty, you want to see racism. Yep. Racism is hidden in policies. Yeah. So if you want to see racism, you have to look at policies. And I'm also a teacher in an urban school. And what has happened to schools throughout this country, in the wealthiest, greatest nation in the world, is a shame. We should have never allowed it to happen. And at the same time, we conservatives and Republicans, we have a part to play in that. But so that's what this is all about. I thank you all for coming. We have a wonderful speaker. I'm sure you know this gentleman. You see him all the time. and I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. And I'm honored because I just met him. I just met him. I did. I mean, one of the reasons why another reason why I'm doing this because I'm 57. I am a stage 3 cancer survivor. I have raised my children, and I told my kids, now it's about dad. It's just about me now. And I'm gonna do what I want to do. And so this has given me an opportunity, this whole thing has given me an opportunity to meet some crazy, awesome people. And I'm having fun. Because this couple right here, or this partnership right here, she's a pistol. And now I have met my assistant director, his wife. I love it. But before I step away and introduce this great man, I'm going to bring 2 awesome young ladies up here. One name, her name is Stephanie Peoples. She is the director for Members Relations. And another young lady, her name is Sophia, and she's one of our advisors. So I want them to come up here. They're going to talk about BLEXIT, membership, and then we're going to introduce this great speaker. Say what you want to say.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well, so that's the reason why I'm wearing a mask. So I just want to just let you guys know that I am Stephanie Peoples, Director of Member Relations for BLEXIT. If you haven't done so, I implore you, please stop by the table out front. The first step is to sign up through our membership. And then the second step would be is to join us on BLEXIT Michigan's Facebook page. We are definitely here. We've been here, I've been a part of BLEXIT for about, for about 2 months. But we're definitely looking to grow our membership here in Michigan. And we're looking to coordinate and work with like-minded individuals. That's all about just making a difference in the communities in which we serve. I'm very passionate about that and just getting the word out about BLEXIT. And so I'll be here until 6 o'clock. So if you guys have any other questions or concerns, anything that I can address, I'm definitely here to help.
Well, let's say Sophia. I know she has some.
I'm Sophia. I'm an advisor for Michigan, and I'm just working here today to help promote the mission of BLEXIT and for membership. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Wilbert. I'm the Director of Outreach and Partnership. So definitely, I'm the guy that if you do join, we hope you do join, I put on the events and so forth, and I do certain partnerships with our organization. So definitely, we got some great things coming down the line. So we would love for you to join us, and have a great day.
Without further ado, I just met this man myself a few days ago, and we did not meet in person. It was just all over the phone. I know he's been on national medias talking about something that he is a great expert about, and on Mr. Rick Ector. Could you please join me up here, sir?
Oh, wow, sure, definitely.
Young brother, because I am older than he is.
He only got me about 3 years.
3 years.
Only 3 years, and that's not a lot.
That's not a lot. I'm your big brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is definitely, indeed, an honor and a pleasure to be here before you today. I always get a kick out of having an opportunity to make an appearance and talk about things that are very passionate to me. And I wasn't always really into the whole subject of personal protection, and firearm safety, and taking on a more active role in your personal protection because I wasn't raised and conditioned to think that way. Based on my upbringing, I was taught to believe that certain topics such as firearms ownership and gun safety and being a responsible adult who can take on a more active role in their personal protection. And you know, I just pretty much lived my life according to that roadmap that was laid out for me. And I wasn't a huge advocate of owning a gun. As a matter of fact, I didn't buy my first gun, a 12-gauge Remington shotgun, by the way, until I bought my home. And when I bought a home, I felt that, okay, as a homeowner, you're married, you have children, there are certain traditional roles that are expected of you as a man, right? And as a man, the chief principal role is to serve as the covering or the protector of the family. And the best way to exemplify that, the best way to make that happen, in my mind at the time was, hey, go get a 12-gauge shotgun, right? Yeah. Absolutely. And I went and I bought the 12-gauge shotgun, and I studied the manual and thought I had a decent handle of how things went. But in terms of personal protection, I really paid lip service to all the things that I was hearing about gun ownership. I had been conditioned by a lot of people to believe that only bad people need to own a firearm. Yeah. Good, law-abiding citizens have no need or desire to own a gun. Just do the things that's expected of you, and those things I happily performed. Went to work every day, went to church on Sunday. The family, we had family time on the weekends, and I pretty much didn't worry about all the things that I was hearing about in the media. Thought I lived in a decent neighborhood. Well, that concept, that idea of living in a decent neighborhood, that pretty much got shattered one evening about 14 years ago. In a time and era of the year when it gets dark early, you know, when we go through the time change and you find yourself getting off work approximately 5:30 p.m., you go home and you pull yourself into your driveway and you park your car in your garage and you close the door and you're about to get yourself ready to hear about what happened with the kids that day, right? You take 5 minutes of personal time and you're like, okay, now I'm about to get updated on what happened with the kids and what the pressing matters of the day are. And so when I left the garage, lo and behold, there were two gentlemen who probably could have been younger versions of myself. They were approximately 19, 20 years of age. And they produced a handgun and they proceeded to announce a robbery in my driveway. And I'm standing there looking at these two guys, and I'm having all sorts of epiphanies that are running through my mind. I'm thinking, wow. Wow was the first thing that came to mind. It's like, gee, I'm getting robbed in my own driveway. And three, I'm like, okay, what do I do? And another thought that rolled through my mind was, gee, maybe I should have gotten that concealed pistol license. Maybe I should have become a gun owner. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm going to get shot. And then I'm thinking, well, where are they going to shoot me? Are they going to shoot me in the face? Are they going to shoot me in the chest? All these things are running through my mind. And then as I'm entertaining all of these thoughts, you know, the bad guy, he's repeating his demands. He's like, hey, the money, right? And I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm being robbed. Let me get out of my head and focus on this situation here. And it's in terms of most robberies, if you look at the statistics, they got from me in that moment what people typically expect in an armed robbery. You got my wallet, so you have my ID. I now have the specter of being a identity theft victim. They had all my credit cards. They netted a whopping $40 in cash, driver's license, ID, all that stuff that you have to invest time in and to replace down the road. Of course, they took my car keys. They didn't take my car for whatever reason. House keys. And then they had some interesting demands. They said, well, hey man, you only have $40. And I said, well, that's all I got. They say, well, we need more. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I don't have any more money. And they said, well, hey, what's in the house? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my, here we go. What's in the house? That to me was the sign that they wanted to march me into my house at gunpoint. And I'm thinking, it probably is not a good idea to be marched into your house at gunpoint under the cover of darkness. So I'm thinking. And then I made a decision to do something that I pride myself on never doing. I always believe in being direct and forthright with people and being able to stand in your truth and be able to look a person in the eye and say, no, I don't want to do that. as opposed to committing the offense of fibbing, of telling a lie. Well, I made the decision that one lie, well, gee, we can overlook one transgression. So I told a lie, and I told a whopper. I said, look, I can allow you to come into my home, but there's a ton of people that live here with me, and there's guns all over the place. I'm not worried about you two guys. I'm worried about my family. So I really don't think that you want to march me into my house at gunpoint. And I must have been very convincing, because they actually molded over for a second, and they decided, no, they were not going to march me into my house. So gee, I'm thinking, okay, wow, I dodged that bullet. And so then these geniuses had another idea. This other idea was, why don't you get into our car with us and let's drive to the ATM machine and go get some more money. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, that was really clever, yes. And then I'm thinking, mind you, I had never had any personal protection training such that you are instructed never ever to leave the scene with bad guns. This was just what I consider common sense. Common sense said to me, don't leave the scene of a crime to go somewhere else with bad guns. So again, I had this moment of conscience. Do I get in the car with these bad guys, which I perceive to be a bad idea, or do I tell, dare I say, another lie? Guess what I did? I told another whopper. I said, look, I can get in your car and I can go with you over to the ATM machine that's right up the street, but here's the thing, we're just going to be practicing. The account is overdue, I actually owe money, and there's nothing that you're going to be able to get out of this account. If you want to do that, we can, but you know what? You're not going to get anything. And so they both looked at each other, and they could see the sincerity in my face.
Yeah.
And the conviction I had to tell them that I was flat broke and that they had my last $40, and they took off and left. And so in that incident, when I told it and related to the police and when I related to family members and my neighbors, they all seemed really shocked and aghast that I wasn't actually shot. You see, it seems to be a tradition, at least in Detroit during that era, that if you got robbed, whether you actually had money to pay them or not, you actually got shot. And sometimes these benevolent criminals, they think that if they shoot you in the leg, well, that's more beneficial to you. Well, you still got shot, but it probably wouldn't be fatal. Those of us that know anything about anatomy, you know your femoral artery runs down your leg, and you could probably get hit there and bleed out anyway. So, in the aftermath of that incident, I really did some soul searching after I did all the things I had to do, right? Had to report the robbery, fill out a police report. I went down to the neighborhood precinct and had to watch staff on the police department fight amongst themselves who had the honor of taking my crime report, right? And that was the most humiliating thing in the world, walking into a police department and admitting that you're a violent crime victim, and these guys are bickering as to who gets to fill out the paperwork. And so while I'm filling out the paperwork and I'm being interviewed and I'm being shown all of these pictures of all of these known criminals in these books, I couldn't match any faces. And so then I had to call my job and explain to them, and this was the most embarrassing thing in the world. You know, I worked for the big three at the time out in the suburbs, and then I had to tell all these guys that, yeah, because I steadfastly refused to move from Detroit after I got this great job at this company, that I got robbed in my driveway, and all those things, all of those negative perceptions you have about living in Detroit actually came home to roost. And yes, I was a violent crime victim in my own driveway. So I had to listen to all of that, right? And you know, you have to go through the whole rigmarole of replacing ID cards, trying to stop payment on all your credit cards, close down all your banking accounts, missing work, not having access to your vehicle because they stole your car keys, having to replace those. I was just a big mess. So in the aftermath, I was thinking, okay, well, what are my options? This is the problem. Your community obviously isn't safe to merely go to work and to come home. So what do? At that time, I was not a very fervent believer in the Second Amendment per se with respect to getting a concealed pistol license. I had a shotgun at home for self-defense in case someone was so emboldened to do a home invasion. But I had no idea of getting a concealed carry license, a concealed pistol license. And so I started doing my homework and started doing some research. And as I did my homework and I started listening to what some of the popular local Democratic politicians were talking about, guns are not the answer, guns are bad, owning a gun makes you a bad person, only bad things can come from owning a gun. And then lo and behold, I start seeing contrary information. Information from people such as a person who's now a good friend of mine, Ken Blanchard. He runs a website called blackmenwithagun.com, and I started listening to some of the things that he had to say and the resources he was pointing me to. And so I made the bold decision, to me, at least in that space, to go apply for a concealed pistol license. And believe it or not, some of the things that we're seeing with respect to gun control exist today. When you look at today's headlines, I saw just yesterday that Wayne County, that is the county in which Detroit is housed, that people cannot receive an application to fill out for a concealed pistol license for 9 months. There's a 9-month wait. If you decide you want a concealed pistol license and you come to a gun range such as this one, and you take a concealed pistol license class to satisfy the state of Michigan statutory requirements for training, you have to wait 9 months to turn in your application. And that was such an abomination then. And you know what? It's a bad thing to actually occur right now. It's almost as if during all of this time we have learned absolutely nothing. So I will confess to you all that I actually committed a crime back then, 9 years ago. My crime was carrying a gun anyway. I actually, yes, I admit it, I carried a gun anyway. I looked down the barrel of a gun in my driveway and I said, that will never happen again. I mentioned, or there are many people that mention this phrase, I'd rather get caught with it than to get caught without it, and I did exactly that. I was a typical law-abiding citizen who suffered the indignity and the horror of being robbed at gunpoint by 2 thugs in my driveway, and I was committed to ensuring that that never happened again. If it did, well, I'll just deal with the consequences. Luckily for me, nothing negative or adverse happened after that time period I have to endure to get my CPL, my concealed pistol license. During that time, I was consumed with acquiring information about personal protection, self-defense, how to make yourself a more hardened target. What were the things that I was doing or not doing that were contributing to making the opportunity available to bad guys? And so I started assessing and evaluating my habits, things that I was doing, my mindset. When I talk about mindset, talking about your levels of awareness. Are you truly paying attention to things that are happening around you? Most people, if you actually look around folks in society today, they're preoccupied, they're busy, their heads are in the clouds. There are people who are actually walking with their cell phones in their hands about to get run over by a car because they're not paying attention while they're staring at their telephones. And you look at these people, and I look at them and I'm like, they're just like zombies. And my biggest affront, the biggest mistake was my lack of awareness in terms of what was happening around me at any given point in time. If you've taken any awareness training, you are aware of the fact that there are generally considered 4 states of awareness. That one initial state is being completely unaware. And when you are unaware, you are totally oblivious to what's happening around you. It's as if you are merely physically there. From a personal protection standpoint, there's only one time of the day when you should be completely unaware and oblivious. When is that? Sleep. When you're asleep. If you're asleep, you will receive, empathy from me that you were sleeping and you weren't actively engaged in what was happening around you. I will let that slide. However, if you are not asleep, you should be actively engaged in what I call active awareness. At any point in time throughout the day, you must know not only physically where you are, but you need to be concerned with who else is there and what those people are doing. You might even get so proactive as to actually make detailed notes in your mind in terms of what they're wearing. I like to also play a game. It's almost reminiscent of Sesame Street. Am I dating myself? Is Sesame Street still a TV thing for kids?
I think it's still what?
I think so. There's this game that they would play on Sesame Street, right? And I believe the name of this game is called One of These Things, right?
Oh, yeah.
And on the One of These Things game, right, they would show like 4 items. And let's just hypothetically assume of these 4 items, there's a hammer, and there's a screwdriver, and there is a, let's just say like a hammer, a screwdriver, and maybe, let's say a nail remover, and a picture of a frog, right? Which one of those things doesn't fit? That would be the frog, of course, right? Right. So when you look at and you evaluate your surroundings, you're not necessarily only looking at what's there. You're looking for what's weird or what's out of place. What would make you say, that doesn't seem right? If I take an extreme example, someone wearing a heavy overcoat in the summertime, right? Yeah. Or if you're out somewhere and you realize that at any place you are, there's a reason why people are there. For example, most robberies happen at gas stations and parking lots. Or if we just say gas stations. In a gas station, there are people who are predictably doing things that are synonymous or congruent with being at a gas station. They're pulling in, they're getting out, they're fueling, they may be under the hood, they may be cleaning the windshield. All of these things associated with being at a gas station. If there's someone doing something at a gas station that is not related to being at a gas station, that person should make you go, like Arsenio Hall on his TV talk show, it should make you say, why is this person here? That person bears further investigation. And then, if that person doesn't have what you conceive or you believe to be a logical reason for being there, then of course you put yourself into another state of awareness, which is alert. You're like, okay, this bears further investigation. I must make sure that I keep my eyes on this person and I ensure that nothing further develops. And then of course, if something actually happens such that it rises to the level of creating a threat to your safety, of course, you would then go to a state of alarm. Alarm is a problem has developed and you need to execute a plan. Some plan. Because actually there are only 5 things that you can do when presented with a threat to your personal safety. First one is to fight. Okay? You can fight. And fight could actually mean a physical fight, or it could mean some other type of way of defending yourself. Of course, as a firearm instructor, training counselor, I'm going to advocate that you defend yourself if you've ever forced with a threat to your life, a threat to your safety, that you use a gun lawfully. Of course, if you're not carrying a firearm, there are other responses. Another response is to take flight, leave the area. But I will tell you, at 53, my best days of running are way behind me. Of course, if you have small children, parents, elderly with you, you cannot leave. If you're a man with a woman and you're being robbed, you cannot run and leave her. She will not answer your future phone. And then, of course, there's posturing. Well, what is posturing? Posturing is pretending like you're capable of defending yourself, hoping to fool the bad guy into thinking that he probably wants to pick another victim. This is where you're putting on a show. If you're shy, you're going to have to get over being shy. You have to do something like, "Hey, what? You really want to do this?" I mean, you have to be convincing, force, volume. Those are the positive aspects of defending yourself. 3 positive actions you can engage in. And of course, you can mix them up and do combinations, right? You can posture, create distance, and consider fleeing. And if you can't get away, then possibly think about using your firearm for personal protection. The last 2 ways of dealing with an attack to your safety, those are not very positive. And you know what? They're very sobering. Because that one response is the response that I engaged in which I was a violent crime victim, in which I was robbed at gunpoint. And that's freezing. That's where you're literally like a deer with your head, with your eyes caught in the headlights, and you're fixated on those lights coming toward you, and you don't act. You're frozen. You're not actively engaged in anything that's going to benefit your safety. And what happens in that moment is typically what happens. But I will say that even without the benefit of training that I would receive later, I did not execute the other option. And the other option is to submit. And this is where you're actually becoming an active participant in your victimization. When these intrepid souls asked me to go along with them to the ATM machine to get more money, they were trying to physically remove me from the scene. And this is something that you should never do. Because in general, the stats tell us that the overwhelming majority, 70% of victims who leave the initial crime scene with their attackers and their assailants are never seen alive again. Don't ever, ever, ever go anywhere with anyone to another place. And then some people say, "Well, gee, Rick, what if they shoot you?" Well, I'm like, well, yeah, I could have gotten shot. I guess they have to shoot me in my driveway. Maybe one of my nosy neighbors, like Mrs. Kravitz from Bewitched, maybe she will look out the window and maybe she will do something. Maybe she'll call the police. Or maybe I'll just be there in the morning. You know, maybe the mailman will call it in. Hopefully still be alive. But in the aftermath of walking that journey, personal protection became greater than just arming myself. I wanted to learn and consume all the information I could get about guns. And I took a litany of classes, then became a National Rifle Association firearms instructor. And then I knew all the things that the instructors knew. And that wasn't enough. I was so consumed with not being a victim again. And so I then became a training counselor through the National Rifle Association. This is the person who trains people to be firearms instructors. Lo and behold, that wasn't enough. I'm so fired about personal protection and self-defense, I started getting involved politically. and looking and assessing and evaluating people in my community who would be so emboldened to ask me for their vote and their support in an election. I had made a decision that I could never ever vote for, advocate, or support someone who is against my right to defend myself. If you're anti-gun, I cannot vote for you. Flat out, no, it's not even possible. If you do not trust me with a gun, then I don't trust you with public office. And here's the thing with that. Once you filter the candidates through that prism, it becomes crystal clear, at least it did to me, who was worthy of your support and who wasn't. And believe it or not, in this political environment in which we find ourselves, just having strong opinions or convictions about what you're willing to do and what you're willing to support or what you're not willing to support, people are engaging in some of the most insane acts of violence against people who are merely exercising their First Amendment right to say who they support. If you support, let's just say, for example, President Trump and his platform, and you want to give him another 4 more years in this upcoming election, there are people who will go so far as to jeopardize your livelihood, who will victimize your business, threaten you personally, commit property crimes against your residents. This is like the most insane environment that I've ever seen in my life. And granted, I'm only 53 years of age, but merely having a difference in political opinions in which people are so emboldened that they're willing to commit violence against you, it's unconscionable. As a matter of fact, I dare say it's un-American. And if we believe truly that freedom is really the most important thing, and I think with this upcoming election and any election, you have to look at candidates who value your freedom, value your rights. Me personally, you know what? I don't really get into the individual quirks that make us all individual. As in my head, I consider myself the ultimate libertarian. Do whatever it is that you want to do, just as long as it doesn't negatively impact or affect another person or encroach upon or violates their rights. Now, that doesn't mean I accept what people do for myself personally, but here's the thing. If it doesn't bother me, and if it doesn't bother the community, it doesn't make me less safe, it doesn't make my family less safe, you can be responsible while doing it, have at it, don't tell me about it. I don't need to accept it and give you a flag or send you a donation. Have fun and live your life. Yes, does that make me seem antisocial? Not at all.
No, sir. Freedom.
Not at all. No. It's about one word, and it's freedom. It's freedom to engage in those things that bring you happiness and success. And you do not encroach upon or trample upon the rights of other people. It's really that plain and that simple. And you know what? When you look at this political environment, we look at who's running for office, to me, there couldn't be a more stark difference between the two candidates. You know, you have one candidate that's preaching, in my opinion, all-out socialism. You know, you're talking about this Green New Deal where we're just going to trash the economy and just spend all sorts of money on things that there's no way in the world that we can afford. You know, in a word, it boils down to freedom. And I know that probably didn't expect a gun rights advocate and a firearms instructor to come out here and start talking to you about freedom and liberty and living your life and pursuing your dreams to the best of your abilities, whatever effort you're able to put in those endeavors, what tasks you need to perform to become the person you want to be. Well, that can only happen and exist when you have freedom. And I'll tell you this, there couldn't be a more stark choice in this upcoming election. And let me tell you, there is only one candidate that I could support for president. And hopefully you'll agree with me that you should support Trump this upcoming year. And having said that, thank you very much for your time. Thank you all very much.
All right, I'm just going to wrap everything up for tonight, guys. If anybody did not get this flyer, it's back on the table. I emailed this out to our email list. We've got an email list that we've been building over the past years for over 6,000 or 8,000 people. So we emailed this out, and this is a kind of a print version. The other one, if you have anybody that you want to forward this email to for informational purposes to get some of this info, please email, go to the store, to our website and link, and I can forward it to you. If you did not get, if you're not set up to our email list, okay? The reason why, part of the reason why I put this together was for this event, and there is, if you look at the first page, there's the Trump plan. It's one line. Yeah. The Biden plan goes on for like 6 pages. And I just want to point out a few things. There's a lot of these things in there that they, you know, they change the words of it. One of the things is red flag laws in there, extreme risk protection orders. Sounds great on surface. It is a bad thing. We do not want it. And there's so many different things in here. There are already laws, but they're going to dig deeper. They want to take any AR-15. Sure, you can keep them, but you got to register with $200 for each one of them, including each mag. I mean, if you have a handgun right now, not just AR-15s, you have a handgun that has over 10 rounds in the magazine, they're going to want you to register that magazine and pay a $200 tax stamp on that magazine for every one of them. So there's a lot of aspects from the firearms is why we're doing some of the things we're doing. As Robert, yes?
I was going to say, they were also wanting to either ban or do tag stamps on any military style firearm, so that's pretty much any firearm used in the military since it started, for over hundreds of years in there. So that'd be every single gun to where you wouldn't have any firearms, nothing like that.
Bolt action rifles, shotguns can fall under that.
You'd be paying $200, $300 per mag and stuff like that.
So
when
we come across Robert at the event a couple weeks ago, and when we got together and had some like minds, a lot of us obviously in this room are probably of like mind when it comes to politics. I will tell you, when the media is talking right now about, you know, defunding the police and doing, and you know, all these things, and saying they're not really riots and all these, you know, all the BS that we hear or really don't hear.
For Rick.
Yeah.
Were you hoping for a psychiatrist in your driveway that day?
Yeah.
I was just checking myself.
You know, I had a coming to Jesus moment.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, here's the great thing. I'm so glad that there were Second Amendment advocates who were going against the prevailing wind that made it available for me when I had my epiphany to get involved and to get a permit and become an advocate myself. So all of you be encouraged that your acts are not done in vain. No, I wasn't looking for a social worker.
I just wasn't sure.
I was looking for a friend with a gun as well.
Yeah, no, that's and what I will tell you, this pandemic, all the rioting and looting has proven to Top Gun that we have seen. This all started March 13th is when the wheels fell off the cart and lines were out the door like crazy, and we've sold more guns than we've ever sold. What I will tell you is that our normal demographics, we're probably maybe anywhere from 20 to 30% African American, and then maybe a little bit more with other minorities. For the past 6 to 9 months, we have probably, of all the guns at record gun sales that we have had, I mean, like we've never seen. We've probably sold at least 70% of our guns to African Americans. There are so many times out here, we will walk out and we'll look, and out of 12 people standing there, we've got one white person and all the rest are black. What does that mean?
Well, they're having an epiphany. They're realizing that they need to take on a more active role in their personal protection.
The black codes,
because
people like our governor are making it a black-white issue.
So
it isn't. And when you have all the rioting going and cops out there having to dedicate to controlling the riots or taking care of that, wanting to defund the police, we don't have you know, the officers are just not responding. They're calling 911 saying, they're not gonna get there, you better protect yourself. A lot of people are realizing this, and a lot of those people are coming from the city of Detroit right now. And what we hope is that we've met, I mean, Randy, we've met piles and piles of great people that probably would have never came here. Even though we've always had a great diversity of client between women and men and different nationalities. We've never seen it like this. But we've met so many good people, and a lot of them are just simply coming here because Top Gun, I'm not trying to brag, but we have had probably one of the largest inventories in the state of Michigan. We have the most connections to continue firearms coming in, and the things we've done to be able to provide the firearms to the customers that come here. And
one other thing I want to say about them, they for a number of years have been a sponsor of giving women free shooting lessons every year. So.
But go back to, you know, the number of African Americans we've seen coming in here, and then we get introduced to Robert. That is why we decided to try to help BLEXIT and work with them, because we saw a huge opportunity for us to help you guys grow your membership. We've got a lot of that clientele that are coming in, and hopefully they're stepping closer to that line because they're buying a gun.
Legal gun ownership.
Maybe with BLEXIT, we can get them to step over the line and not just vote because of that's what we've always done. Okay, and obviously with firearms, it's a huge thing right this year. This election is huge in a lot of ways, but from our standpoint with firearms, it's very big. So
I'll tell you one thing I noticed is that I watched all of the presidential level debates, and I was thoroughly disappointed that the Second Amendment was never talked about the vice president debate or the two presidential debates. I thought that was a huge wasted opportunity, and I think it was intentional that it wasn't discussed.
Sure. So point of me getting up here and speaking is, if anybody, you know, pass these out, we've got more. If you need to email this, contact us through the website. I can forward you the email link with the video links and everything in it. So outside of that, Robert, did you have anything?
Can we
to
give
wrap up?
Mike and Randy and our speaker a great big hand? This was awesome. Robert, this was awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, what is the growth of BLEXIT in Michigan? I'm
Wait
curious
before you
how
answer
big it's
that.
getting.
Wait before you answer that.
Because I'm so.
What's the #1 state right now?
California.
How many in California?
555 members.
Okay, what was the next one?
I think it's either Florida or Texas.
Okay.
It's either or.
Okay, the reason I said that, this morning when I came in, I'd done some homework before I came in.
Yes.
Apparently not enough, because this young man came to me and he said, hey, Randy, I did my homework.
Yes.
And I did this and I did this, and he got these numbers. He's really excited about this. He made it a point to bring that up to me. Now, this was a big thing to me because of what it meant. Now, we've heard a lot of good information here today. We have.
It's awesome.
But you look around you in this room, and you look at this young lady here, and this young man here.
Yes.
This is our future.
Yeah.
The question is, what do we do? What are you going to do with that? You have a golden opportunity right now. Men and women in this room, it's a small amount right here. 500 is a small number.
Very
small number. Okay, you have a golden opportunity to let our children have the freedoms that we have. They have an opportunity not to have that. That can go away in one election cycle, whether it's guns or whatever. America doesn't have to be America. You said it this morning, the interview with the guy from Cuba.
Yes.
The one, he said in that interview, he said, the one thing that I had that you don't, I have a place to go. Where was that place to go?
America.
Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? If you want to socialize everything in America, you want to make America something that's not, where are you going to go?
Yes.
There's nobody in this country that doesn't have an opportunity. The only opportunity that you don't have is the one that you don't want.
Yes.
Now, how are you going to change that? How are you going to keep what we have? This is our country.
Our country.
This is not somebody else's country.
Yeah.
Ask yourself that, and then say, this is the golden question of the ages. What can I do?
Yes.
Robert, does this momentum, this all ends next Tuesday, right?
You want a week? No.
We close up, we're done with BLEXIT and all that on Tuesday, right?
No.
Whether we win or lose.
We're too far past that.
Whether we win or lose.
No matter what.
This movement
It has to
goes
continue.
way beyond next week.
Because you're gonna have, you got
Absolutely.
you got local elections, you have state elections. It has to continue.
What happens
It just
when
has
we get
to.
to 600 people and we're above California?
So then we'll
Again,
then we'll go for
In the name,
and then we're gonna go.
Is that
chapters or bodies?
We
We all forget what happened.
Again, I want to bring. I am a conservative. You know, I've been a conservative all my days. I want to bring the whole BLEXIT organization to the state of Michigan. That's just what I want to do. And Candace Owens, she looks at the numbers. It's just the way it is. And we're real close because there's a lot of conservatives, there's a lot of Republicans in the state of Michigan, but something has to bring them out from hiding. Something has to bring out. And BLEXIT is going to play a major role in bringing these individuals out. But again, this is not about Black Americans. This is much more bigger than that. Much more bigger.
I
It's
just
a
want
movement.
to add one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I have the gun, I had the first gun for personal protection.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I came here and started shooting, I never in my life thought I would enjoy target practice.
Wow. You're not the only person that has had that experience.
That's a good point. It is fun. Absolutely. It's not just about self-defense. I'll tell you what, if you go play golf, you can spend a lot of money on clubs, a lot of money on lessons. And if that guy is not within about 3 or 4 feet of you,
yes,
it does nothing for you. But a firearm, you can practice, train, target practice all you want, and you're inherently teaching yourself a self-defense skill on how to shoot that firearm better every time you pull the trigger. Whether you're leading to self-defense or you want to get to that point, you're still building it. So it's a good program.
You still, I was telling this lady here, fellow Republican.
We will be here again on next Friday, 2 to 6. Next Saturday, 2 to 6. And next Sunday, which is November the 1st, from 2 to 6. And you know what it's about? Bring folks.
Right.
Bring them.
And we're not, on those days, we're not doing necessarily this big event, but we're doing the membership drive for them out here.
We're doing the membership drive. We will be here. So we want you to come, sign up, because let's join this thing together.
Bring a buddy.
And let's bring it together. Yes, sir.
Okay, political world, okay. We have a great candidate in the 23rd, John Poe.
John Poe.
Yes.
Former police officer.
Yes.
Yes.
So, one of the things we've done in order to make a difference in that campaign is with the crew that we put together for his campaign managers, we looked at all the precincts we failed in 2016. And what I mean by failed, we got less votes than the opponent. That's a failure.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So, what we've done, Precinct 2, which is basically right across the street here, has apartment complexes. And those guys went door to door dropping literature in those apartment complexes. There's a great story here, okay? John Poe, the candidate, knocked on one of the doors, opened the door, big guy there, Black Lives Matter sign behind him, and the first thing out of his mouth was, what are you going to do about the black cops killing blacks?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that was the first conversation.
Yes. Yes.
So as this conversation went, he just simply asked him, you have your cell phone in your hand, would you look up this phrase? Police killings of minorities.
Absolutely.
And up comes the graph, and the guy says, you're bullshitting me.
No.
Right. He says,
FBI.
let's keep looking, go down the list, keep looking up those things.
Go just.
And after about 10 minutes, maybe 15, according to the story, because I wasn't there, the guy said, I'm being played, aren't I?
Being played.
No shit.
And he woke up. The light bulbs came on, And then he wanted to know more about his candidate that was standing right in front of him having a conversation. And as he learned more about the conversation, John said to him, you have now just had a conversation with a police officer for 32 minutes.
Yeah.
The guy goes, and you didn't shoot me?
Oh,
That
is a great story.
But my point is, now that guy's an advocate in that whole apartment complex for John Poe.
Yes.
So what I'm suggesting that we do is we take that same approach.
Yes.
And we actually do a lit drop in those neighborhoods and say, we're having an event over here at Top Gun. We want to invite you to open up your mind.
Yes.
So how do we phrase that message in a flyer that makes sense? And we go to door right in those districts.
Yes.
Because they need our message.
Yes.
Whether it's a political message or personal safety, they need our message.
They need the message.
And that's what we need to do.
Again, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mike, Randy, Rick, thank you all. Thank you all. This was awesome. I will see all of you again. Doug, you know I love you. I will see you again on next Friday.
What, 2 to 6?
What's that?
2 to 6?
2 to 6.
Where did you get your PhD?
I was working on my PhD before I got canceled. I was working on my PhD at Wayne State.
This country would be without freedom and liberty. You can build a resort out of a rundown dive and a Trump boy can't survive. A Trump boy can't survive. Yeah. Cause you can't shut him out and you can't make him run. He's licensed to carry and he's got a loaded gun. He's gonna build a wall, so yes sir and ma'am, if you ain't into that with that.